I am Emma Reporter, and you're watching CA Reporter. We are standing at a terrifying crossroads, and our world, not just the Middle East, is shifting under our feet as we speak. On March 2nd, 2026, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps made a claim that sent shockwaves from the bunkers in Tel Aviv to the dinner tables here in the GTA and the Lower Mainland. They claim to have struck the heart of the Israeli government, specifically targeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office in Jerusalem. While the IDF and Netanyahu's team have dismissed this as propaganda and fake news, the weapon behind the threat is very real. We are talking about the Kheibar ballistic missile, a monster with a 1,500-kilogram warhead and a 2,000-kilometer range. This isn't just another regional skirmish. We are witnessing the 10th wave of a massive escalatory cycle that began on February 28th, when joint U.S. and Israeli strikes, codenamed Operation Epic Fury, targeted Tehran and reportedly killed Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Now, we know what some of you are thinking. Why does this matter to us in Canada? Why should we, as taxpayers already struggling with a 2.25% policy interest rate and a housing crisis that won't quit, care about a missile base in the Iranian desert? Because, our friends, the global economy is an interconnected web, and when the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, we all feel the squeeze. Iran has already announced it's taking control of that vital shipping lane, where 20% of the world's petroleum flows. We are seeing oil tankers being targeted, and we are feeling the pinch at the pumps from Halifax to Vancouver. Even though our consumer carbon tax was scrapped last April, the industrial carbon tax is hitting a staggering $110 per ton this year. And when you stack that on top of soaring global energy prices caused by this war, our cost of living is being pushed to the brink. We are seeing a massive mobilization. The U.S. has B-1 bombers in the air. The British are sending destroyers to the Gulf, and we are caught in the middle of a geopolitical firestorm. This isn't just about missiles hitting buildings. It's about the stability of our global financial system. Our headline inflation finally eased to 2.3% just last month, but this war threatens to undo all that hard-earned progress. We are looking at a regime in Tehran that feels its very survival is at stake, and a U.S. administration that is doubling down on shock and awe tactics. As the IRGC claims they've hit the Prime Minister's residence and the headquarters of the Israeli Air Force, we have to ask, where does this end for us? We are watching our loonie fluctuate against a volatile greenback while the world waits to see if a new supreme leader emerges from the Assembly of Experts in Guam, which was also reportedly targeted by airstrikes. We are looking at a full-scale regional collapse that is dragging our Canadian interests right into the fire. While the IDF insists Prime Minister Netanyahu is safe, the IRGC's 10th wave of strikes on March 2nd has turned Jerusalem and Tel Aviv into active combat zones. They're using the Kheibar Shaykan, a sophisticated piece of hardware designed specifically to penetrate the most advanced missile defense systems on the planet. This isn't just about the Middle East anymore. It's about the security of our own backyard. Our Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity just issued a high-level warning to our energy and water sectors, telling us that pro-Iran hacktivists are likely to view Canada as a prime target because of our vocal support for Operation Epic Fury. We have to be honest, our critical infrastructure is vulnerable, and the threat of a cyber blackout in cities like Calgary or Toronto is no longer a what-if scenario. It's a when. Our government's support for these strikes is clear, but we, the taxpayers, are the ones holding the bill. Think about the logistics. We're watching the U.S. and Israel decimate Iranian command centers, even striking the Assembly of Experts building in Guam just yesterday, while they were reportedly voting on a successor to the late Ali Khamenei. The chaos in Tehran is absolute, but the ripple effects are washing up on our shores. With the Strait of Hormuz effectively a no-go zone, the global shipping industry is in a tailspin. We are talking about 20% of the world's oil and massive amounts of liquid natural gas. For us in the Great White North, that means the price of everything, from the groceries at Loblaws to the parts needed for our manufacturing plants, is about to skyrocket. We are already dealing with an industrial carbon tax that jumped to $110 a ton this year, and now we're facing a global energy surcharge that could cripple our small businesses. We are feeling the weight of a world at war. Our loonie is taking a hit as investors scramble for the safety of the U.S. dollar, and while our inflation hit that 2.3% sweet spot in February, these energy shocks are a massive threat to our stability. We're seeing reports of Iranian naval vessels being sunk by U.S. Tomahawks, including the Iran's Makran, which was their primary drone launch platform at sea. This is epic fury in every sense of the word. But as we watch these high-def videos of explosions in Tehran and Isfahan, we have to look at our own bank accounts. Our policy interest rate is sitting at 2.25%, and many of us were hoping for a further drop to ease the mortgage pain. But if this war pushes oil past $120 a barrel, the Bank of Canada might have its hands tied. We are in a precarious position, and the decisions made in the bunkers of Jerusalem or the war rooms in Washington are going to dictate how much we pay for our heat and our homes this winter. We are looking at a level of instability that makes the 1970s oil crisis look like a minor glitch. Our global supply chains are already tangled, and the news out of Tehran on March 3rd has only poured gasoline on the fire. The IDF confirmed they struck the heart of the Iranian political machine, hitting the presidential office and the Supreme National Security Council. This wasn't just a military strike. It was a decapitation of the regime's brain trust. For us back home, this means the risk of a global economic catastrophe is moving from a warning to a reality. Experts at Simon Fraser University are already telling us that if those Gulf refineries take a direct hit, we aren't just looking at $2 a liter at the pumps in Metro Vancouver or Toronto. We're looking at triple digits for oil and a total breakdown in affordable air travel. We have to understand that our loonie is fundamentally tied to the health of the global energy market. While some might argue that higher oil prices help our producers in Alberta, the reality for most of us is that the cost of importing everything, from fresh produce to electronics, is going to soar. Our headline inflation might have cooled to 2.3% in February, but that was before the 10th wave of missiles. If the Strait of Hormuz remains a combat zone, the Bank of Canada is going to be caught in a nightmare scenario. Do they keep the policy rate at 2.25% to help struggling mortgage holders, or do they hike it to fight the massive wave of imported inflation coming our way? It's a lose-lose situation for the Canadian taxpayer, and we are the ones who will have to tighten our belts. The IRGC isn't backing down either. They've already launched over 100 ballistic missiles and dozens of drones at regional targets, including U.S. bases in Qatar and Bahrain. They're using the Kheibar Shikan's maneuverable warhead to play a deadly game of cat and mouse with the world's most advanced defense systems. And while we watch these missiles fly on our screens, we need to be aware of the shadow war happening right here in Canada. Our intelligence agencies are on high alert for retaliatory cyber attacks. We've seen what happens when our hospitals or pipelines get hit by ransomware. Imagine that on a national scale, backed by a state-sponsored actor with nothing left to lose. We are being told to prepare for disruptions that could affect everything from our banking apps to our power grids. This is the hidden cost of a global conflict. The front lines aren't just in the Middle East. They're in our digital infrastructure and our daily lives. This isn't just a military escalation. It's a full-on regime collapse that is sending shockwaves straight into our Canadian economy. As of March 4th, the news coming out of Tehran and Jerusalem is nothing short of apocalyptic. We've seen reports that French President Macron is already calling the U.S. and Israeli strikes outside international law. But the reality on the ground is that Operation Epic Fury has effectively decapitated the Iranian leadership. With Supreme Leader Khamenei confirmed dead and the Assembly of Experts building in Qom a pile of rubble, the IRGC is lashing out with everything they have left. They are desperate, and a desperate regime with 2,000-kilometer range missiles is a danger to every single one of us. We are seeing the fallout right here in our own pocketbooks. While we were all breathing a sigh of relief when our headline inflation eased to 2.3% in February, this war is threatening to send those numbers back into the stratosphere. Our Bank of Canada kept the policy rate at 2.25% in its last meeting, but the uncertainty is through the roof. We are hearing from senior economists at TD and RBC that if this conflict drags on, any hope for further rate cuts to help with our mortgages might be dead in the water. We are already dealing with the industrial carbon tax hitting $110 a ton this year, a cost that the Canadian Taxpayers Federation warns will be passed directly to us at the grocery store and the hardware shop. When you add the threat of a closed Strait of Hormuz, we're looking at a cost of living crisis that could make the last 2 years look like the good old days. We need to be clear-eyed about what's happening. This isn't just about a missile hitting Netanyahu's office. It's about the fact that Canada is now a player in a global game of chicken. Our support for our allies means we are in the crosshairs of cyber retaliation. We've already seen the U.S. Navy readying escorts for oil tankers, and we know that any disruption to that global supply chain hits the loonie hard. We are feeling the pinch, and we are seeing our hard-earned tax dollars being diverted to defense and security, while our own healthcare and housing systems are screaming for help. This is the reality of 2026, a world where a strike in Jerusalem is felt at a gas station in Mississauga or a rental unit in Burnaby. I want to hear from you in the comments. How is this affecting your family? Are you seeing the prices jump at your local store, or are you worried about what this means for your mortgage renewal this spring? We're all in this together, and we need to keep the conversation going. I'm Emma Reporter, and for more updates on how the global crisis is hitting our Canadian soil, make sure to subscribe to CA Reporter.